Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today I'm going to read you The House, written by me. We're continuing chapter 4. Dusk came and waited the rains, and the walk on deck of the siren. By now, Angelica had returned from work on her bike. Her husband walked a couple of blocks towards the nearby hospital. He had the night shift. Eduardo did not take the bike because he had never learned how to ride it. Not that it mattered too much because the hospital he worked at was near Delicia. The couple were currently working on moving to the same hospital in Isabel la Catolica. Angelica smiled when she noticed the children playing on the table. Lucero was messing around with some clay, as for Eufrasio. He was trying to make sense of an encyclopedia he had brought back from Palma. The encyclopedia was called Treasures of Youth. The article he was reading focused on making soap bubbles with a straw. Angelica greeted her children by hugging and kissing them on the cheek. She did the same with her mother as well, who was cooking. The windows Angelica detested so much were open to let the cool night air in. There were a couple of towels on the floor. From time to time, a gust of wind would cause some of the water to get inside. Most of the time, the Jalet's windows would keep out the rain, but not this time. Irina, not turning around for her soup, commented, "It is certainly pouring." "Yes, Mother." "Some of the lower streets are partially flooded," said Angelica. It's recording, right?
Yeah.
"It is a good thing Eduardo's hospital is uphill," said Irina. "Why isn't the TV on?" asked Angelica. "Because we heard thunder a couple of minutes ago," explained Lucero. Despite knowing many things, Irina only had a tacit understanding as to how lightning worked. She was convinced that electronics drew lightning. As such, to prevent a lightning strike, she would lower the amount of electricity in her apartment. This included turning off most of the light, and the TV and the fans were unplugged as well. This precaution was at least useful for keeping the electronics from being damaged in case of an electrical surge. Lucero was pretty calm despite the heavy rain. As for Eufrasio, he was doing his best to preoccupy his mind. He had read in his encyclopedia that lightning tended to strike tall objects. He worried that being in an apartment building might draw in lightning. He wondered how many floors could a single lightning bolt pierce through. He had recently developed an aversion for lightning. One time when climbing the stairs of the apartment, he had tried turning on the lights, and he had received quite the shock from touching the on and off switch. Ever since then, he had not bothered to turn on the light. The single light in the kitchen flickered. It was soon followed by a flash of light and then the sound of thunder. Holding a knife, Irina came to the door, and she commented, "Angie, what are you doing?" "What's the matter, Mother?" asked Angelica, putting the bike on the side of the entrance. "Your parasol is open," complained Irina. "Sorry, my bad," said Angelica. Gesturing with the knife, Irina said, You just watch it, you hear? God only knows what sort of bad luck may come your way due to the little umbrella mishap." "It was raining sideways, jeez," said Angelica. She added, "I'm going to take a shower. See you at dinner." This apartment had a single bathroom and running water. Some days it did not come for arbitrary reasons. As such, there was usually a barrel of drinkable water filled in the kitchen. If there was ever a shortage of water, the barrel could pick up the slack for at least 2 weeks. As for the umbrella mishap, it was a common superstition that being on the roof with an umbrella open brought bad luck. Irina believed in quite a number of different types of bad luck. If one stumbled with the left foot, one was supposed to double back behind the place you had stumbled on and try again with only this time walk past the spot without any problem. Another popular one was that one should avoid barricades of any type. If you walk on one side of a post and another person walked on the other side, it meant that you would get separated. Angelica naturally did not believe in such silly nuisances, but for the sake of peace, she would indulge her mother. The umbrella was left on the floor open to allow it to dry. Eufrasio came to the umbrella and he closed it somewhat. He did not put on the latch to allow it to drip on the floor. To avoid sleeping, Lucero went to the bedroom and brought another tower, which she placed beneath the umbrella. With his tasks done, the day was allowed to progress with its usual pace. Around dinner time, Lucero was awakened by her brother Eufrasio. The girl had been busy taking a nap on the couch. His mother too had been napping as well. Naps have always been popular in Cuba. The practice of napping was inherited from the Spanish conquistador. When they were not massacring the natives, they were busy taking naps. Naps usually went from 4 to 6 p.m. This was the usual time when dinner was done. If Angelica had the night shift, the nap would start around noon. Sleeping after eating was usually a pretty easy task. If there was no planned activity, the Mason family would spend most of the day napping. Napping was usually far more prevalent during rainy days, such as this one. Normally, the Mason family would watch TV, but since the weather was so nice, they had planned to sleep 1 or 2 hours after dinner. If it was up to Lucero, they would sleep after the dinner. Still, she had learned from experience that going to sleep after eating caused indigestion. Whenever she from her side to her right, her stomach would turn, bringing all the food out to her throat. At other times, it would trigger some acid refluxes. The children ate dinner and were put to bed. Lucero was on her crib while Eufrasio slept beside his mother. He had his own tiny bed, but he preferred the larger bed since he had more arm room. Lucero slept hugging a little monkey plush her grandmother had given her. According to Irina, the monkey liked to drink milk. Lucero was partial to the plushie, but she had memories of seeing Eufrasio with it when he was 2 years old. Lucero did not mind the hand-me-down plush since it was still in good condition. It served as a small pillow. Around 3:15 a.m., the rain died down. The only sound heard was that of the wind. The wind suddenly picked up, causing the bedsheets to fly out. The window started rattling. Lucero, who was a light sleeper, yelled, "Angelica!" With a start, Angelica awoke, not knowing why Lucero was yelling. Eufrasio rolled off the bed and landed on the floor all in terror. He crawled quickly under the bed. As for Lucero, she got into a fetal position and she hid her head under the large pillow. It was then when the window smashed. Angelica covered her face with her hands, and she received a nasty cut on one of her hands. Angelica ran and grabbed Lucero while Eufrasio was fetched by Irina, who had just woken up. For the rest of the night, the 4 of them spent their time in the bathroom. The bathroom had only one small window, which was open. Lucero had the pillow from her bedroom still on her hand, and she was using it more as a shield than a pillow. Eufrasio was inside the tub with his eyes wide open. He was watching the window like a hawk. He had his hands to his face in case he had to protect himself from glass. Irina would have liked to barricade the window, but without it, they risked running out of oxygen. Around dusk, Eduardo was making his way back home. He was not too thrilled by the sight of the downed electric pole. He circled around the block until he found a different route back into his apartment. His alternative route brought him through a flooded street. With water up to his knees, Eduardo struggled his way back home. His night shift in the hospital had been uneventful. The entire place was made of solid concrete, and it resembled a fortress instead of a hospital. The windows were small and impact resistant. There were bars on them as well. This gave the hospital the look and feel of a prison. Then again, windows with bars were pretty common architecture feature in Cuba. Aside from having small windows, the hospital actually had an air conditioner. It was used to keep viruses down. Most viruses and bacteria tended to reproduce a lot with higher temperature. As such, for sanitation purposes, the hospitals were allowed to have an air conditioner. It was common to just have random people in the waiting room who just wanted to cool off for a bit. At times, some people felt like getting examined while they were there. Medicine was free in so much that you did not have to pay for it. You still paid indirectly for medicine in the form of poverty wages. While Angelica had spent a hectic night, Eduardo had a mellowed out type of day. He had spent it joking with the other night duty doctors. He would read the headlines and then he would start making up bogus news. He said it in such a convincing fashion that the fellows could not help but believe him. He would also prank the trainees by playing dead in the morgue. Whenever a kid who was not in on the job would pass by, Eduardo would make strange noises, or he would sit up suddenly. Eduardo was quite surprised indeed when he heard from his colleague that a tornado had passed by. He had not heard much of it because he was fooling around in the morgue. A couple of windows did break, but thankfully it only occurred in the empty room. The rest of the night he spent cleaning up the debris or tending to the regulars. Around 4 p.m., the injured people started arriving. It seemed like it was going to be quite a busy day indeed. He would have stayed for an extra shift to help, but he was worried about his apartment. For this reason, as soon as his shift ended, he went home. He was surprised and alarmed to see his wife all bandaged up. She had gotten some nasty cuts on the arms, on her arms and on her right hand. He examined her tourniquets over the top. The scratch on the palm had been superficial, though Irina had required that Lucero remove for her a small shadow glass. Why had Angelica asked Lucero? Well, because she had snake blood. Lucero had a good hand-eye coordination. She was quite deliberate with most things she did with her hands, from drawing stick figures to cutting paper. She dexterously removed the tiny shot using the tool her mother had given her. As for Irina, she was no help at all because she could not keep her hands from trembling. One needs a steady hand for any type of delicate work. Irina never remembered an instance when Lucero called her mother grandma. It was always Irina this or Irina that. She was quite disrespectful little bride. Aside from... This was part of the reason why Angelica smoked. She was trying to cope with the tension of being alive and with the tension of not having nicotine running through her veins. Smoking is a hard habit to quit. Alright, we made it to chapter 5.